My whole adult life, I seem to have relied on sharp tools. From over 20 years working as a chef, then woodworking as a hobby before I went full-time a few years ago. So I think I know how to sharpen knives and tools. The trouble is, do I actually do it? I've never really enjoyed the process, and maybe I'm a little lazy. I'd seen videos of people using Tormek machines, and it looked like it made the process enjoyable. Maybe even a zen-like exercise with the sound of the water. I contacted Tormek and they sent me the T4 and lots of accessories to try. So let's see if I can actually enjoy sharpening. There's not much involved to get the machine put together. The wheel needs to be put on, and then the leather honing wheel needs dressing. It comes with some oil that just needs putting on the leather while it's running, and then I can grab the back of a chisel and use it to rub it in. The water bath goes on under the wheel, and then while it's running you can fill it up. This soaks up a lot of water, so I needed to keep topping it up until it reached the max level and took on no more water. Then the tool rest can go into place, and that's it all together. We're all set up, so let's get some things actually sharpened. I'm starting with some chisels and using the square edge jig. So the chisel goes in the jig and then you set it to the thickness of the chisel. Then the chisel can be moved over to the side against the stop and everything tightened down. It's important to make sure it's all in there perfectly square. The jig slides onto the tool rest, and then there's a stop that screws onto the end so it can't accidentally slide off. I want to sharpen my chisels to 25 degrees, so I set the gauge to that and then I can check what I'm at. And we're off. To get it set correctly, I just need to wind it down a little and keep checking until I've got it set at my 25 degrees, and then I can get it locked into place. And we're ready for action. So I can get it turned on, and now I push down on the chisel and move it back and forth over the stone so I get even wear on it. I need to actually clean up my chisels and get the rust off them, but it's done a wonderful job on the edge. Chisel looking good, so let's give a hand plane a go. The iron from this goes in the same square edge jig and it's exactly the same setup. It doesn't take long to do this, and it got a nice edge, but I've been doing this on the coarse setting. But what comes with it is this dressing stone. So I'm going to change my wheel to a finer finish. So on the fine edge of the stone, I just rub that on my wheel, and that will change it to a finer grit. Then I'm going to put the chisels and the plain irons back on for a few more passes. With all good sharpening, this leaves a burr on the back of the blade that needs removing. So onto the honing wheel, I rub in some polishing compound, and then I can stick the chisels and the plain iron on just to get that removed and do a final polish. Hopefully a lot of the time I won't need to sharpen the chisels, just a quick strop on this will just touch them up. It's too cold to start shaving the hair off my arms to demonstrate the sharpness, so I think a bit of wood is more appropriate, and I'm pretty happy with the result. This has done a beautiful job of my square edge tools, which is most of the tools in the workshop. The planes, the chisels, spoke shaves, all those sorts of things. But I have a kit that does other bits. In here are tools to do different sized knives, scissors, but what I'm interested in is the axe sharpening jig. My mum has a wood burning stove I now saved my scraps of wood to chop up for kindling, so I need to get this sharpened. The jig just clamps on. I'm going to set the degree to 35 and set it in exactly the same way as I did for the chisels. Then it just rests up against the, well, tool rest, and I move it back and forth. When I'm happy with the edge, the last thing is just to strop both sides to remove any burr and give it a final polish. And this is razor sharp, sharper than the day I got it. This is going to do a fantastic job of splitting some kindling. Well, that has produced some amazingly sharp tools. Really fun to use as well. At first, I thought the setting the angle, winding up the tool rest and things was going to be a bit time consuming. And it was on my very first use. But then, every other time, it took seconds. It just took me a while to work out how to do it. But actually, it's a really simple machine to use. So that's great. That's one of those burdens to use, I think, barriers to use if things are complicated. This is not complicated at all. Very simple to set up and use. Fun to use. I have a bench grinder that you could say does the same thing. The trouble with that is it's much louder. It can create sparks. It can create dust. All the dust goes into the water bath here, and the water obviously stops the tool from getting hot. So it's just a completely different thing. And with the jigs, you've got accuracy rather than freehanding everything. So yeah, I love it. And I think that solved my problems. I'm going to enjoy sharpening from now on. Stood at this with the sound of the water is lovely. Really clean, quick, and just a joy to use. So I've got lots more tools to try it with now. So thank you to Tormek for letting me try this. Thank you for watching. Thanks to my patrons, and please subscribe for more videos.